Hello and welcome to episode 67 of Rebrand Everything, the graphic design show where I redesign the logo of big or famous companies. In this week's video, I'm going to be redesigning the Sprite logo and also the can packaging. So let's get into it. So as most people already know, Sprite is a lemon and lime flavoured fizzy drink and their current can looks like this. Sprite is owned by the Coca-Cola company and it was first developed in 1959 in West Germany, so it's been around for a long time. As you can see here, they have had quite a few different logos since they started. 1961's looks really fizzy. The colours from 1964 give me an absolute migraine. 1974 is starting to look more like the modern logo now. 1989 saw the yellow and green we have learnt to associate with Sprite. And then the logo has developed since then to look like this today. Now I'm going to say that there's nothing wrong with the current design at all. It's solid, it looks good, and the main thing is it's a good representation of the taste. The lemon and lime are shown very clearly and the text is a decent mixture of sharp and rounded, which I'm kind of thinking translates to the perfect mixture of sweet and sharp citrus flavours. So although there's nothing wrong with this current design, I'm not going to let that stop me exploring a few new logo designs and can designs in this video. So I'm going to show you the full process from sketching in Procreate on the iPad right through to the full logo and packaging design in Adobe Illustrator 2021. So let's get into the sketching now. So at the sketching stage, I was just writing down everything that came to my head, basically drawing out any idea that popped into my head. And as you can see here, I was focused a lot on this idea where it's kind of this lemon and lime combination mark that doubled up as an S shape with the kind of line splitting through the middle. So most of these sketches here were developments on this, looking at how the text might work with it or how the icon could work and how to incorporate colour, but thinking about the actual can colour as well, because I kind of kept drawing it where I did the logo as like green and yellow, but then I'm thinking it's going to be on a green can anyway, so just kind of started like thinking ahead a little bit too much maybe for this stage, but yeah, that's what I came up with. There were a few other ideas there as well, but the thing is when I'm sketching is that my drawing skills are sometimes not really good enough to develop the logo any further than a basic idea. So at this point it was time to take it over to Illustrator to take these seeds of ideas a little bit further. If you have one spare second right now to press that thumbs up button, please don't forget to do it, as it really helps the channel out and it really pushes the videos up the rankings to show it to more designers like us lot. Cheers. So the first option was the idea that I sketched most in the ideas phase. I just need to get this one out of my system. Using a stroke kept the thickness editable right up to the last minute for ultimate flexibility when designing. I wanted to use a gradient along the stroke as a way of making the symbol combine a lemon and a lime, which was pretty easy to do the stroke, but when it came to making the ends of the line look good, the way I'd built the design meant that the white outline on the stroke was cutting in where it shouldn't. This meant that I had to create a duplicate of the shape, expand it, and then fill with the green at the top and the yellow at the bottom. So I basically used that expanded graphic that I made and laid that over the top of my stroked version and then made a clipping mask and just filled in the colours underneath just to fill in them gaps. Once I'd sorted out this icon, it was time to see the logo in action by putting it onto the can design. I made a box that was the same size as a smart object in the mock-up file, and then I began to design the can packaging itself. The green in the background was not helping my logo stand out, so I decided to add a darker shadow around my content, and I did this by duplicating my elements, changing into a dark green and setting the transparency mode to multiply. This left a hard edge at first, and then I feathered it to soften everything up, and I did that through the effect menu. This icon lent itself to a rounded font, so I went all in on this friendly and soft style.
2.
For option 2, I wanted to take the current logo, or it might be one step away from the current logo, like one before, and basically see what I can do to put my spin on it. I started by dismantling the existing logo and then repositioning these elements, and the idea was that by doing this I would retain an element of recognition that's very important for the brand equity. For the text, I used a font called Azo Sans Uber, as it looks super strong, but it's the kind of font that doesn't look too serious. I find that this font just has some subtle curves that give it a nice edge when compared to some of the more standard sans serif fonts. You can see here also that I used the burst graphic from the current logo as the frame for my new design, so really scaled that up and had it kind of going off the page, so to speak, although that really in real life that would be wrapping around the can, so it would look pretty cool. But yeah, using that burst to kind of draw your eye into the middle of the logo. And then you also see here that I added the accompanying text, like the features, the 100% natural flavours, great taste, etc. In lighter fonts so that they don't detract from the main message, which is the product name.
3.
So on the current can, you notice that they show a cross section of a lemon and lime, and I like this because it's a better visualization of the flavour, like inside of the fruit, rather than just seeing the skin of the fruits. So you probably know me enough by now to know that I needed to make as simple as possible representation of this. I googled lemon, which was a pretty funny thing to do, and the only reason for that was to find out how many segments are inside your average lemon, and it was 10. So I created a super simple version of this just with a circle, a line, and then just rotated that around 36 degrees to give me my 10 segments, and then used the Pathfinder tool just to split that up, and then added some rounded corners just to make it look a little bit friendly, a little bit nice. So once I had these segments looking super tasty, I needed to find a nice font to match up, and I found this one called Chalet, which has multiple cuts, meaning I could pick and choose my preferred letter forms. I made a cool line style pattern by grabbing an image and then live tracing it, swapping the fill for the stroke to make a cool like line pattern instead of just using the fills, and I just kind of thought that this looks good, like maybe an elevation map. I went for a different vibe on this option by keeping the actual base of the can white. I think it looks a little bit ugly on the flat artwork as it looks kind of basic compared to the other two designs, but then when it's on the actual mock-up or when it's on the actual can, I think it looks pretty cool.
4.
So for option 4, I wanted to just completely ignore all previous Sprite branding and promote this product as a higher bracket drink along the lines of something like San Pellegrino. I had this vision of showing the fruit on the tree to give that real natural growth vibe. I adjusted the colour of the lemon image I grabbed from Unsplash so it looked like the limes and lemons were growing on the same tree, as I thought that might be a nice little concept for the advertising perhaps. I image traced this to give a rough vector style to the graphic instead of just being a photo, to help kind of give it that elitist drink vibe. The font just had to be Dido or Didot, or however you're supposed to say it, D-I-D-O-T, to really make this look high class and delicious. Combined this with Futura, and this created a style that just looks so expensive I could barely afford to keep it on my screen. To harmonise with this kind of high-end looking design, I didn't feel like filling the whole can up with kind of gimmicks and text and stuff other than that background image. I didn't want to just fill every available bit of space, as this kind of design feels like it's as much about what's not there as what is. So the vibe on this option is obviously very far from Sprite's current brand, but who knows, maybe Sprite could be reclassified as a specialist drink for people who own yachts and play polo. So only 4 options this week, squad, but I have put them on a sick mock-up so you get to see each design in its absolute best light. Remember to slap that like button, and also if you still haven't subscribed, then unfortunately you're going to have to go down to the comments and write a 500-word minimum essay about why you haven't subscribed yet and what I need to do to earn that subscription. Also, if you haven't checked out the other channel yet, Create Everything, you need to, because it's starting to hot up over there. There's a few Illustrator tip videos now live, and also I've got a cool new series of logo myths debunked coming out soon. So get over there and press subscribe so you can be the first to watch that. Okay then, enough. Let's see them final options.